Thank you, Jim, very much for those kind remarks and warm introduction. Let me also thank everyone here at WITA for this award. I will treasure it, and it will have a proper place in my office so I can look at it and be reminded of all the jokes that Jim had tonight about Viagra. I also want to thank my colleague Kevin Brady. Kevin and I are both Irish Americans, and quite frankly, I'm sure he's as often called Joe as I am Kevin. In fact, many people confuse the two of us. We're so similar in look. Although I'm getting more and more to look like Kevin, and in fact, I like that photo very much. What's that little product that you all make? I also know that I am what is between you and your pillow tonight. I say that with some trepidation again because that would cause Jim to find some other correlation between that and Viagra. And I think at this point, we've said the word Viagra so many times that Pfizer is looking for a tax credit for the commercials that are going on here right now, the ads that are happening. But I am very pleased to be here tonight. I'll try to stick to the script as much as possible. That's my staff once anyway. I want to thank Sean Jody, who for all of 3 days now has been with Steptoe and Johnson LLP, but served in my office and was a great contributor to our office for a number of years with Sean. Is he still here? Has he gone home already? Just make sure Sean knows I mentioned it. A great guy and a wonderful individual. And also Kevin Brady, Greg Shiowitz, let's say again, as always, is a trade. Thank you for being here tonight. I want to thank you again for this honor. It means a great deal to me. It does. It's also great to see my former colleague and friend Jim Colby as well. We could not have asked for a better master of ceremonies. And it's true, though, that Jim and I did work on a number of issues, especially as it pertains to the least developed countries. I have a particular interest in South Asia, and especially in Bangladesh, a country that I think oftentimes gets short shrift when we deal with issues in the developing world, especially as it pertains to South Asia. They don't have nuclear weapons. They have 150 million Muslims in a country that is a fledgling democracy, but they don't have nuclear weapons, and they're not invading other countries or causing bombs to go off in America, so therefore we kind of tend to ignore them. But I think we, in all likelihood, should be promoting them and trying to work with them. And I believe that trade is one way in which we can do that, especially how it impacts women within Bangladesh. It gives them opportunities, gives them value in a part of the world where up until very recently there was very little value given to womankind. And so I thank Jim for his steadfastness when he was in the House, and in many respects, although on different sides of the aisle, someone who I grew to respect enormously on many issues, but especially on the issues of trade. And I thank him for his kind remarks again. By increasing support for capacity building funding and establishing a greater coordination among our agencies, USTR, Commerce, State, and others, I believe we can still do more to assist the developing world's production capacity while also increasing their labor and environmental standards at the same time. Providing assistance to the developing world is an important step, but I also remain hopeful that the next ministerial on the Doha development agenda will reach an agreement as well. We need a good Doha deal to increase market access for U.S. goods and services around the world. On our overall trade agenda, I believe we are at an interesting point in how our country deals with international trade. President Obama has been in office all of 6 months now. His administration has already put his political muscle behind several important initiatives. And I want to thank Secretary Locke as well for his comments tonight, but also for his hard work that he demonstrated as governor of Washington. I also believe more is to come though. There are many of us in Congress who recognize the need to engage internationally and negotiate with other countries to ensure U.S. goods and services can compete on an even playing field. And we stand ready to help our President enact a trade agenda that will accomplish those goals. In a time of economic crisis, it's important that we implement policies focusing on expanding market access. Because historically, countries that have turned inward during times of crisis have postponed their own economic recovery. Right now, the U.S. is struggling economically. If we are going to recover, we must lead by example and expand our economic engagement with the global community, not retract. We need to build upon our relationships with countries in the Asian Pacific region, a growth market where our goods and services have the potential to thrive. Visits like the ones that Secretary Clinton and Ambassador Kirk made to ASEAN and APEC, respectively, are vital to maintaining a productive dialogue and expanding our working relationship. Because we cannot allow countries like China to have a one-way relationship with us. Considering Asia is one of the largest growing markets, we need our goods and services, U.S. goods and services, to be bought and sold there. Both Congressman Brady and I recognize that, which is why we created the House Caucus for Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, the APEC Caucus. Over the past few weeks, I've been talking to my colleagues and friends downtown about the need to engage the world economically. One of the arguments that I've been pressing is how economic integration can promote global peace, stability, and security. In other words, the need for the United States to use its smart power. What I say to my colleagues is that when we begin to have a serious dispute with another country, one of the first things we do is we remove our ambassador and our diplomatic corps. And that's usually followed by placing economic sanctions on that said country. And if our economic sanctions aren't enough to inspire them to see things our way, we encourage our friends to impose multilateral sanctions to further isolate that country, and so forth and so on. When all diplomatic steps have failed, the next step, unfortunately, tends to lend itself towards the military options at our disposal. If that's the case, I believe the reverse should be true as well. Before a relationship has the chance to decline, we should be engaging in using economic integration as a tool of choice in fostering better relations around the world. I'm not alone in this thinking. As I mentioned at the table earlier this evening, the 9/11 Commission report was clear on this front. They recommended that the U.S. expand trade ties with the Arab and Muslim world because it would help to foster stronger relations with those countries. I continue to believe more needs to be done to uphold those recommendations, and that if done, relations within this region or that region of the world will continue to improve to the betterment of the United States and to the betterment of the world. The reality is, if President Obama pursues a robust international dialogue and a robust trade agenda, he will ensure he has an arrow in his quiver to promote United States smart power around the world. I believe in the smart power of this country, and I believe we can do more to help the world develop and grow. And as I said before, empower women through the use of trade as well. I look forward to working with each and every one of you to make a trade agenda a reality for our administration, for our Congress, for our country. And with that, again, I thank you for this award, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. God bless you.